Hi everyone, Virago here with my October wrap-up. This video is going to start with a slight rant. I'm going to get all of my negativity out in the very beginning and then I'll get on to my actual wrap-up. So this week and a half has been kind of crappy. I did not have a great readathon, which is why I never posted any of the videos that I recorded throughout the readathon. I got consistently more negative in my videos and I thought I don't want to post all that because I don't want to bring anybody down. So I just kind of said forget it, I'll move on. So then my hubby's schedule changed. He was supposed to be home for Halloween this year. Been first time he'd been home for Halloween in forever, and the day before Halloween is our anniversary. So since we couldn't be together on our anniversary, I said, oh, you know, great, we'll be together for Halloween. We'll go visit the fam, maybe go out to dinner or something, you know, whatever, just be together. And his schedule changed, so he ended up not getting home until very late Halloween night, and he was so tired that he couldn't even join into our annual Halloween scary movie-a-thon. So that kind of sucked. But you know what? It is what it is. So then I went out to Halloween with my kids. I went to go visit my sisters-in-law and see my nieces. My youngest trick-or-treated, and we just had a really good time. Come home Halloween night, I left a bowl of candy out. I do it every year since we're not here to give out candy. I left a bowl of candy out, and I figured maybe one or two kids would get some candy and then some, you know, jerk-off kid would just take the whole bowl and dump it into their bag and keep it moving. I kind of expected it. Got home and the entire bowl was gone. Not just the candy, somebody actually stole my bowl. I couldn't believe it. I mean, it was a cheap dollar store Walmart bowl. I paid $1, maybe $2 for it. That's not the point. You know, so now some little asshole kid stole the bowl, and now guess what? Everybody's going to be asked out next year because I'm not going to leave a bowl of candy out anymore. So that just kind of pissed me off. So then when we got home, I had enough time before we started our movie fest to do my wrap-up video. I was in my costume. My kid helped me. She was in her costume. It looked fantastic. And I didn't check everything before I started recording to make sure everything was working. And of course, my mic wasn't working. The entire video shot with no audio, and I'm so pissed. You should check out my Instagram to see our costumes. We looked really great this year. But, you know, so that kind of sucked. And then I plan a lovely weekend today. Today is Saturday, the 2nd of November. Planned a day for my hubby and I to go to our favorite winery. It's, you know, it's a local winery. We go, they're doing food trucks this weekend. And I'm like, you know, this will be the great, you know, make up for missing anniversary, Halloween, all that stuff. This will be our little date, our little get together. Wake up to a broken dryer. And I'm like, you've got to be effing kidding me. So he's like, yeah, we're not going to the winery. We've got to get this taken care of. He's like, and since the dryer broke, we're going to have to replace the washer too, just to be safe, because the washer was a little bit sketchy and we didn't want to chance it because my husband has just started a new job, or he will be starting a new job on Monday, which means all of the crap that goes with starting a new job, you know, that gap in pay, that gap in having health insurance, you know, just all of that crap. So I'm like, you know, like, we don't have enough going on now. We have to replace a washer and dryer. So my mother-in-law, who I love dearly, she drives me crazy, as mother-in-laws do, but I love her dearly. She's the sweetest, kindest woman you'd ever want to meet. She's kind to a fault. She decided to give us a very early Christmas present, and she bought us a washer and dryer today. So then we ran around all day today getting a washer and dryer, getting rid of the old stuff, getting the new stuff set up, and now I've been doing laundry today. So that is all my negativity out. I'm done. I'm ready to do my wrap up for October. I did not have a great reading month for October. I got 5-ish books read. The first book that I read this year was actually an audiobook called Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. I first came across this book when Audible had that, you know, that daily special, and it was a sequel to this book, and it was like, you know, $2 or something, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting, and then I realized it was part of a series, so I went and looked it up, and I'm like, oh, well, let me get the first book that came out. It's actually, the book that I saw was actually a prequel, but since Into the Drowning Deep was the first one to come out, published wise, I figured I'd read that first. So I listened to it. It's about an expedition that went out looking for mermaids and disappeared. The boat was found, but everybody on board was gone. And the footage that was found showed that not only were there really mermaids, but they were like killer mermaids. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds fantastic. Killer mermaids, let's read this. So it's like 7 years later when the story picks up again. And some of the survivors, or not the survivors, but some of the survivors of the people who died or disappeared end up getting picked for this expedition to go and investigate, because, you know, the footage was clearly real. And I'm sorry, I'm really sweaty. That's why I keep playing with my hair. It was clearly real, and they want to go and actually investigate, you know, the truth of these mermaids. So it starts off pretty good. And then it very quickly turned into an 80s slasher film where everybody in the movie, or book, might as well have been a movie, started making really, really stupid decisions. Like just stuff that pissed you off and made you think, you know what, I hope the killer mermaids fucking kill you. That's how bad it got. You know, some of my favorite characters that I thought were likable, they got killed off. The characters that I really wanted to get killed, they survived. Turns out, wasn't mermaids after all. Spoilers, by the way, just in case you want to read this or haven't read it, or, you know, it's on your TBR, so you might want to not listen for the next couple of seconds. Turns out it wasn't mermaids. They were actually sirens. And they were killer, but only because we have killed off their food source. So the next food source that we have is, that they have is humans. And it's based in the Marianas Trench. So it started off great and then consistently got worse and worse and worse, to the point where all of the people who should have got killed survived. And now the fact that these mermaids, sirens, are out there is now a known thing. They're going to study them, and of course they're going to try to kill them, which, you know, obviously that was kind of the point of the story. Like, you know, we're killing the ocean, we're killing off, you know, creatures and stuff like that. But it's just like, just the idea. And the thing that pissed me off the fucking most about this book was there was gratuitous dolphin murder, and it didn't further the plot at all. Like, they didn't have to put these dolphins out there to get killed. They knew the dolphins were going to get killed, and the one person who tried to talk them out, don't put the, you know, you've seen what these things can do, don't put the dolphins out there, they're never going to survive. And of course 3 dolphins got killed in this book, and that pissed me off to no end. And then after that I wanted to stop listening to the audiobook, but I said, you know what, I'm going to hate listen to the rest of this just so that I can get to the end and hopefully everybody gets killed. No, didn't happen that way. So that pissed me off. So that got a 2 stars for me, and I actually hated it so much that I actually returned the audiobook, because it was horrible. And I don't usually do that. I know that Audible has that feature, and I don't usually return books, but I did, because it was terrible. So the next book that I read, or actually listened to, because this was also an audiobook, was called No Strings Attached by Harper Bliss. This I ended up DNFing. It's Kung Fu Was Stronger Than Mine. That's what I call a DNF. It is a lesbian love story, and it started off pretty good. Again, another book that started off pretty good. Woman who is recently divorced. She realized she was miserable in her relationship, and, you know, there was no point in staying together for the kids, because the kids were so much older that, you know, they're about to go off to like college and stuff. So they split up, and her best friend keeps pushing her to start a lesbian relationship. She's pushing her to come out, like, and that pissed me off. She had that overbearing best friend trope. My thing is, if she had just encouraged her a little bit, like, you know, hey, you've been having these feelings, you know, maybe it's time to stop denying them, or start paying attention to what what you're really thinking and feeling and what your desires are, that would have been fine. But it's like she kept pushing and pushing and pushing and pushing. I'm like, oh, that just irritates me, because everybody has to come to this decision and this realization on their own, in their own terms, on their own time, and you can't force somebody to come out, and that just pissed me off. So then she gets this job at this coffee shop run by lesbians. It's called the Pink Bean, and her first customer is gorgeous, but an absolute dick to her. Like, an absolute dick. Like, I mean, like, you know, anybody who's worked in retail, you know that customer that you just want to throat punch, but you can't, because, you know, not only would you get fired, but you probably get arrested too. Yeah, she was a dick. And then she comes back again, and she's a dick to her again. And then she comes back again, And then she asks her out. She just randomly asked her out. So the chick agrees. And I'm like, why would you agree to go out with somebody who treated you like something they scraped off the bottom of your shoe? And I'm like, okay, whatever. Fine. So then they go out. They have a date. They sleep together on the first date. Then they get together again. And the chick, the dick, makes it very, very clear that because of her job and because of just how she feels, like she travels a lot for her job. She doesn't stay in one place for very long. And she's made it very, very clear. She's not in this for a relationship. She is in this for a one-night stand, and if she can handle friends with benefits, she's totally down for that. But she's only going to be, it takes place in Australia. She's only going to be in Australia for like maybe a couple of months, and then she's going to be moving on to the next thing for her job. So of course they have their second date and they sleep together again, and then of course the protagonist, insta love. She's in love with this woman. She wants more. And then she gets pissed off when the woman reiterates the fact that she's already told her, I'm not interested in a relationship because I just can't because of my job. My job is very important to me. And also I'm not at that point in my life. And she gets pissed off at her. And then it's like, so long story short, this had too many annoying tropes. I really wanted to like this story and I hated it. So I DNF'd it. And that's the end of that. So the next book that I finished for October is Alice, which I did finish during the readathon. This is by Christina Henry. This is the retelling of Alice in Wonderland. This was fantastic. It follows Alice, who lives in the new city, and she and her best friend Dor take a very forbidden trip into the old city. And when Alice comes back, she's been raped, she's been scarred, she's kind of out of her mind, and nobody knows what happened to Dor. And eventually her parents send her back to the old city into an asylum where she spends the next 9-10 years of her life. And she befriends the person in the cell next door, Hatcher. They speak to each other through a mouse hole in the wall between their rooms, and they kind of keep each other sane. They become the best of friends. And then one night the asylum catches fire. Hatcher manages to escape his room. Then he gets Alice out of her room. They escape the asylum, and then they go on this adventure into the old city. You meet all of the characters from the actual book, you know, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, Cheshire Cat. You know, you meet all these characters. The other one, the worm, I can't remember his name now to save my life. You can see how my week has been. This was really, really great. I love the relationship that developed between Alice and Hatcher. They're like the best of friends, and you can kind of see there's a possibility that maybe there's a love match going on, but it's not that annoying forced romance that happens in like fantasy books, and this is more of like a fantasy / horror. This was just really, really good. I love this. I gave it 5 stars. This was great. The next book that I read, I started it during the readathon. However, I did not finish it during the readathon. I finished it. The readathon started on Saturday, ended on Sunday. I did finish this on Sunday. It was just after the readathon had already ended. This is The Red Queen by Christina Henry, which is a sequel to Alice. This one I did not like as much. I gave it 4 stars. This was good. It was really good. I didn't love it the way I loved Alice. This one sees Alice and Hatcher going on an adventure or a quest to find Hatcher's long lost daughter. During the events of Alice, they both start to have these memories come back that had formerly been suppressed while they were in the asylum. And he realizes that he's had a daughter who's been, his wife was murdered, his daughter was stolen and sold into, you know, slavery. So he's looking for his daughter. They get trapped in this forest and they get caught up in basically like a domestic squabble between the White Queen and the Black Knight. And the White Queen has also got something going on with the Red Queen because she stole the powers of the Red Queen. It's really good. Alice really comes into her own. She becomes very confident and very self-assured. She learns how to take care of herself because her and Hatcher do get split up for a little bit. And this was just really great. And I love that the relationship between Hatcher and Alice is also continuing to develop, but there's been like a little monkey wrench thrown in there because, as it turns out, spoiler alert, turns out that the White Queen is actually Hatcher's daughter. She somehow got away from wherever she was, and she managed to steal the powers of the Red Queen, and the powers have made her crazy, and they're also killing her, so now she's stealing children to kind of help revitalize her life force. So Alice and Hatcher basically have to stop the White Queen, and they get help from the Red Queen, and just in the end the Red Queen uses Alice to kill the White Queen, who was Hatcher's daughter. And when Hatcher realizes this, he's very upset with Alice, even though Alice didn't actually do it. So there's a little bit of a monkey wrench thrown into their possible relationship. I know that there is a third book coming out to this series. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it comes out this month. I could be wrong. And when it does, I will be very anxious to read it to see what goes on, because, of course, they're off on another adventure. The next book that I finished on Sunday after the readathon is The Lost Boys, the graphic novel. This book was fantastic. It's by Tim Seeley is the writer. This was fantastic. This was the sequel that we all wanted and deserved and should have gotten in a movie form, but the sequel to the movie, it is what it is. You know, you watch it because you're just so excited, and it's got a lot of the original characters in it, so you watch it. It picks up right where the movie left off. If you have not seen this movie, what are you doing with your life? I mean, I know that I keep saying I'm a child of the 80s, and of course this is one of my favorite 80 movies, but everybody should have seen this movie. I don't care. Tell your parents that they totally ruined your childhood if they have not made you watch this movie. My kids know all about 80s crap because that's the kind of mom I am. But anyway, this was a great, great book. It picked up, you found out that Grandpa Emerson was actually a secret vampire hunter, and he's teaching the Frog Brothers, and he's inducted them into their secret society. They all get caught up in shenanigans with the Lost Girls. This was really great. This was a sequel that we should have gotten. This was really good. If you've seen the movie and you like it, you should read this. If you like graphic novels, if you like horror, vampires, whatever, you should read it. This was really great. So now on to what I'm currently reading. I am currently reading, which I also started Sunday after the readathon, Apocalypse Cow. This is a horror, but it's kind of a comedy horror. This is about a virus that accidentally gets let loose, and they kill off all of the, basically it gets let loose in an abattoir. This takes place in Scotland, and they think they get all of the cows that have been infected. However, one of them does manage to escape, and now the hunt is on to find this cow before it starts infecting other animals. And we've met some interesting characters. I haven't gotten very far. I'm not even 100 pages in. I'm like 67 pages in. We've met some interesting characters, and I'm finding this really amusing, and I'm really, really excited to finish this. Hopefully I will get this finished pretty quickly, because there is a sequel that I own called World War Moo, and I can't wait to get to that. I don't have a specific TBR for November, but I thought I might try to finish the stuff that I had set aside for my readathon, which was Lost Boy by Christina Henry, which I believe is works on like Captain Hook and Peter Pan. Girl in Red by Christina Henry, which is Little Red Riding Hood. Mermaid by Christina Henry, which, you know, the theme. And then I also have, which I've been wanting to read this for so long, and I started it. I actually did start it, and I put it down. I don't know why I got sidetracked from reading this. So I would like to get this finished. So I may even skip the Christina Henry books and go straight to this. And then, of course, I have my Army of Darkness Omnibus 2 and Omnibus 3. I would love to get these because it was Halloween, so of course we watched all of the Evil Deads, well, all of them. Evil Dead 1 and 2 and Army of Darkness. I'm a huge, huge fan of Evil Dead. I love Bruce Campbell. I love Ash. So I kind of want to get through these books. And then this I picked up Friday when we ran a bunch of errands. That's why we didn't go to the winery Friday, because we had to run a bunch of errands for the house. While we were at the store, I always go to the book section, and I found this, Imaginary Friend by Stephen Chbosky. And I loved Perks of Being a Wallflower. I tried to get a copy of this through NetGalley, but my rating is not that high because I'm not really consistent with reading, and I know I should get better at that, and I'm not really consistent with my reading, and sometimes I let the stuff go past for too long, and then they're just like, yeah, no, we're not going to let you have an arc of this. So I saw this. It's actually a signed copy, and I got it for very, very inexpensive. So, haha, I didn't need the arc. I got the actual book. So I don't know if I'll get into this this year. this month. I don't know if this will be on my TBR, but I did just want to show that I got another new book that I don't know where it's going to go on any of my shelves. So that is, oh, my camera just went off. Okay, there we go. That is my October wrap up, my small rant. I apologize, but I kind of had to get it out. And my possible TBR for November. And I guess I will be back with you sometime soon to let you know how I'm doing with my reading. Until then, I hope everybody's having a great reading week, reading month, just having a good month in general. And I will see you all soon. Bye.